Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on the WITN First Alert Desk at 8 a.m. Hope you're all having a great Tuesday so far. Obviously, we have all eyes on Hurricane Erin. We've had those eyes on Erin for the past week, it feels like, probably right around then, and we're continuing to track, especially as Erin makes its path getting closer to the Carolinas. We're not going to be seeing any direct impacts, thankfully. Jim's going to talk a little bit more about those impacts, but most of it is going to be seen, those indirect impacts on the coast, Dare County. We're talking Hatteras Island, we're talking Ocracoke. Those areas over there are going to be seeing some pretty rough surf. If you haven't already seen it, it's going to be very apparent, especially as we get into Wednesday, which is when we'll be seeing the core of those impacts really taking shape as Erin gets closer. We do have some mandatory evacuations that were put in place over the weekend, beginning yesterday and as today as well, and into tomorrow. So we do have a graphic right here that I can pull up. This is for Cape Hatteras and National Seashore. They actually announced some closures yesterday due to Hurricane Erin. So their campgrounds, visitor facilities, their beaches, off-road vehicle access ramps, they're all going to be closed. Those started yesterday and they'll be closed, especially as the flooding and ocean overwash start potentially today, going into the next couple of days. And as you can see there, Rodanthe from Old Highway to 12 to the end of Ocean Drive and in front of Buxton South to Ramp 43, those are going to be closed. And as we did mention, state of emergency, and there are mandatory evacuations in place for Ocracoke Island because of Hurricane Erin's impacts. And we do have Jim here to tell us a little bit more about some of those impacts that we'll be seeing in the coming days. Already have been seeing those high rip current risks on the coast from Erin churning around, but obviously impacts are going to get even greater as she makes her way.
Yeah, it looks
around.
like today we'll have maybe 7-foot waves by late day up and down the coast, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
Dangerous rip currents. Just got a brand new intermediate advisory from the National Hurricane Center. The winds were at 115, they're now 110 sustained, which now makes her in a Category 2 hurricane.
Got it.
Not a major hurricane. These are good little signs.
Yeah, that's a good thing to hear.
I mean, we're still going to deal with significant beach impacts, but it's nice to see the storm's not getting stronger, not getting deeper, we call it. If anything, it's getting a little drier intrusion and giving it a little bit of a disruption, a little weakening on the storm. Let's dig into the graphics. I'll show you that change on the winds. And again, now a Category 2 hurricane, wind speeds, Hurricane Center saying are 110. I'm going to update that graphic. I'm scrambling over there trying to get everything updated. There's our storm, and when you look at the color-enhanced imagery, on the west side of the circulation, not as deep on the oranges and reds, not as symmetrical. A little drier air getting entrained into the system, and that's what's bringing that overall wind speed down a little bit. That's the latest data. 110 on the winds, barometer reading now up to 958 millibars, continuing to show a northwest movement at 7. So we'll get a new track at 11 a.m. This was the last track issued from the Hurricane Center. That was at 5 a.m. We get tracks every 6 hours. 5 a.m., 11 a.m., 5 p.m., 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So the new track 3 hours from now, and we'll get another one this evening. And again, that track is about a 1 to 200 mile run off of our coastline, closest pass, generally late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. I would say midnight Wednesday night to noon Thursday morning. That's when Erin will be at her closest probably, and bringing those big waves in. Tropical Storm Watch eventually likely will be upgraded to a warning for most of the area that you see in the watch, which includes all the Outer Banks, both sound side and surf side. The sound side risk is more for the lower Pamlico Sound, I'd say, but we'll keep an eye further north as well. And as you get down to the Crystal Coast, that watch all along the beaches all the way through Onslow County. And again, eventually that will likely become warnings. And that means winds will likely gust over 40. In fact, the Outer Banks may gust over 50 at times. I'll show you those winds. I'm going to push this clock forward. That's tomorrow lunchtime. Today 10 to 15. Tomorrow hitting 25 by midday, 30 on the coast, quitting time tomorrow. Inland we're going to be fine. mid-20s to 30 occasionally on our max winds inland. That's midnight tomorrow night. The Outer Banks getting whipped with that northeast wind at 40, and then occasionally some 50s pop into that graphic Thursday morning on the coast. Inland about 30. These are maximum winds I'm showing you. Generally sustained 10 under these numbers as we get into Thursday morning. Late Thursday, winds tapering down. Inland back to the mid-20s to teens as we get a little past sunset Thursday. So everything kind of tapering off there Thursday night into Friday. We'll say goodbye to the impacts then. Storm surge watch, water levels rising above normal by about 3 feet at times. This watch, again, implies potentially rising waters at times over the next 2 to 3 days. It will be upgraded to a warning within 24 hours of that happening. So maybe late today or tomorrow morning, potential storm surge warnings for many areas. And again, implying what looks to be likely a 2 to 4 foot water level rise along the Crystal Coast. The red shaded area, Onslow County, Carteret County, up into Soundside, Carteret County, at least the down east portions out towards Cedar Island, Merriman area, all those nooks and crannies in Carteret County. That water squeezes in there, acts like a little venturi. It kind of drives that water together and makes it lift higher. Orange shading up the Neuse River Basin, 1 to 3 potentially. Pamlico River, Pungo Creek, likely a 1 to 2. You should be fine up that way. A little higher along the Neuse River, maybe all the way back to New Bern. And then the Albemarle Sound, south side of the Sound into the Alligator River, 1 to 3. Outer Banks, 2 to 4. Yeah, and that's where the biggest impacts will be. A lot of overwash out on Highway 12. Usually it's from the Oregon Inlet southbound to Hatteras, and portions of Hatteras Point all the way to the village, occasionally overwash Ocracoke Island as well. So there'll be many areas that'll be impassable on the highway, likely, not definitely, but likely impassable at times on the highway, maybe starting tonight, tomorrow night into Thursday. You may have a few days before they can clear those roads back out. Here's my bullet points on the impacts, primarily Wednesday, Thursday. Inland gusts to 30, Outer Banks 50 to 60 on those gusts. Waves 10 to 15 footers, if not a little higher at times. Significant beach erosion. Again, a few structures along the coast potentially could get washed out to sea as those waves pound the coast. We mentioned the overwash on Highway 12. Don't go in the ocean. That should be obvious, but let's state it again. Don't go in the ocean. Rip current risks significant the next few days. We're going to go to the 8 day in just a second. I wanted to show you behind that 2 other potential development areas, the orange shaded area, and the next names Fernand and Gabrielle. 60% chance of development there, and that's following the same kind of track as Erin, although beyond that, it looks like a weaker storm and a lot of different paths from different models on where that thing may end up. So don't want to speculate this far out. And then into deep Atlantic, 30% off the coast of Africa. Early start this year on all this action in the deep Atlantic. So we're watching those other guys as well. All right, 8 day forecast today. Quiet now, cloudy. Clouds break up this afternoon. We'll get a stray shower or storm, 30%. And then 40% tomorrow and Thursday, primarily on the coast. Higher chance than that, Outer Banks, I'd say, to 20% inland. We mentioned the coastal winds, gusting 50s on the Outer Banks, and the big surf that comes with that for a couple of days. We'll get out of the mess. First alert weather status, by the way, Wednesday night, Thursday. That's the core of the impacts from Erin on the coast. Winterville Watermelon Festival, it actually kicks off Thursday evening. It'll be fine for the rides in Winterville Thursday evening. And then Friday, Saturday, how about it? Sunny skies, less humidity, low to mid 80s for highs, mid 60s at night. I think Sunday is going to be decent as well. That
Great.
Rain chance Sunday, not a big chance, 30%, and holding those 80s.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Jim. We'll be back at 9 for another update on Erin's track and everything going on with the weather. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. Just also want to say hello to Bobby and Chrissy also in the comments. Hope you're all having a great day. But yeah, we'll be back at 9 for another update on Erin in just a little bit. Bye.